What's going on, guys? So John Karony was supposed to be decided on the 9th whether or not he could go home or not, but he actually ended up having to stay until the 13th. And what this is right now is not deciding John's innocent or guilt. It's just deciding whether or not he can stay at his house or whether or not he needs to stay in jail. And the prosecution is basically saying that he is a risk to the Safemoon investors because he could get out and pull more liquidity, which is definitely true. And they're also saying that he's a flight risk, that he might try to get away, which Kyle Nagy right now, they don't have Kyle. He ran away. He's in some other country. And so I don't know if they're trying to track him down or what's going on with that. But right now, Kyle is not in custody. We know that Thomas took a plea deal, so he's kind of just going to be spilling the beans as much as he can in order to get a lighter sentence, which probably involves telling the truth about John. I don't know if you guys remember with CoffeeZilla's video a while ago that Thomas and the rest of the team kind of had this hatred towards John. They felt betrayed by him, and they felt like he was ruining Safemoon through centralizing it too much. I mean, we literally have that clip of Hank saying that John wanted to rug the LP. So if John does get bail, it'll cost $500,000. He'll get to stay at home in Miami with his fiance. He'll be coming from the UK. If he talks to any Safemoon employees, if he interacts with cryptocurrency at all, if he leaves the country, if he leaves to go to the gym without telling them. And I think he's going to have an ankle monitor. If he does any of those things, then he'll basically be in huge trouble and he'll be under arrest again. So very strict rules. And this is, like I said, just to decide where he's going to be while the case moves forward. And that's going to be bringing out witnesses. That's going to be bringing out more charges against co-conspirators, which obviously we've got Ben Phillips, potentially Jack Haynes, and other influencers that were involved in this, as well as potential employees on the inside who probably are complicit in what's been going on. John Karony's uncle, David B. Smith, as well as Kark, are showing up in court and kind of giving us details on what's going on. And I don't know if you guys realize this, but John is literally handcuffed around his hands, around his waist, and at his feet. He has chains and he's in a jail suit. And Kark describes it as a sad, somber, real situation that is kind of detached if you're just paying attention to it on Twitter. So John could get up to 45 years in jail. And whenever they read that in court, Kark said that John's mom looked like she was going to throw up. And I get that this is a sad situation for the family. It's a sad situation for John. However, the negative impact that John has had to thousands to millions of people by stealing out of the LP cannot measure to him spending the rest of his life in jail. Whenever you sell your bag, you're taking value away from everybody. If you sell $1, that affects every single person who holds that token. And so if you pull $10 million out of the LP, you stole $10 million from every single investor. Every single investor was negatively impacted by that. They could have profited off of taking that. So I can have a type of sympathy towards John, like, hey man, you shouldn't have spent your life this way. I wish you hadn't have. But at the same time, I'm not going to have sympathy to the point of not caring about how many people he's negatively affected by this, and it's immeasurable. And this leads to my final warning for Safemoon, basically, which is to the maxis. If you're a Safemoon maxi, if you believe in Safemoon and you're hoping that the community will pull through or something, that's fine, I guess. But if you're somebody who's lying, denying logic, denying evidence, if you've been telling people the wrong information the whole time, as far as about Thomas, about Kyle, about John, about the LP, about the blockchain evidence, you've been disregarding that, discrediting that, and it's personally attacking people's character who are bringing that evidence to light, then you are also complicit in scamming people. You've convinced people to lose money the entire time, and if you're still doing it, you've become a scammer yourself, anyone who's still doing that. And the implications of this are huge. You have caused yourself to lose money, and you've caused other people to lose money. You've wasted your time, and you've wasted other people's time. The consequences are very likely to be even worse than that. If you go into the future, if there's a documentary that's going to be made about this, one of the main focuses is going to be, how did people fall for this? One of the main focuses is going to be the Safemoon maxi mindset. Basically, how you guys think is, if it supports Safemoon succeeding, which is me being rich, then that's a positive thing, and it's a morally right thing. That's the problem, is attaching morality to being positive about Safemoon's future, and then they attach a negative morality to having a negative perspective on Safemoon's future, or not even having a negative perspective, but any piece of information or idea that contradicts their dream of being rich becomes a morally evil thing, and that's just how they think. So that any piece of information or any person comes out, if you don't support Safemoon, then you must be evil, you must be a paid fodder, you must be lying, you must be trying to steal investors, you must be doing it for views, you must be doing it for attention. No matter what it is, you must be evil if you don't support Safemoon, and if you support support it, you must be morally good. It's insane. And you need to understand that people are documenting what you're saying as far as being on Twitter or even potentially YouTube comments, or if you're making videos especially. Somebody out there can just download it. They can just clip it and have it saved. So even if later you regret what you've done and you try to delete it, or you don't regret it but you try to delete it, someone can have it saved. And then when they start making documentaries, you have to understand that you don't want to be the person who looks like an absolute jackass supporting the scammer, the fraud, and being this like maxi mindset. And I don't think maxis really have thought about this. I've warned you maxis the entire time about the truth, about what was coming, because I could see it from far away. The more realistic mindset you have, the more ability you have to see what's likely coming. We called all of this. I called John's arrest years ago. I said, I don't see how he could not be arrested. Over a year ago, I said that. That's my final warning to the Safemoon maxis is you don't want to negatively hurt yourself. You don't want to negatively hurt other people. The best option, especially if you've openly slandered and mocked other people who have been talking about the truth of John's wallets and the theft, is to publicly apologize, admit that you were wrong, and move forward. But just know that you might be a case example of what greed can do to people and how delusional it can cause people to be, and how it can cause people to hate the people telling them the truth and worship the people scamming them. Finally, I just want to move on to my last warning. I'm not a part of Vitus anymore, so what's awesome about that is I can talk about the price, which I haven't been able to do the entire time. But I've expressed very deeply this opportunity that can only happen during the pre-sale. What makes this opportunity so big is that Vitus is giving 3% of their revenue to all the holders. You stake, you earn that revenue, you have to stake for a year. With rewards and reflections, it's being distributed to everybody. So if you're buying late, you got nothing on those whales. That's what we saw with Safemoon, is reflections did not matter because the whales had way too much power. It was adding to a problem that already existed. Whales already had too much dominance, and adding reflections on top of it added more power, more dominance to them, because they were getting most of those rewards of the volume. The volume was making whales stronger. But if you put it in a staking contract and you have to stake for a certain amount of time in order to get that revenue, then it's only going to reward the people that do that. So that's amazing, right? But the opportunity that I expressed, that's this massive opportunity, during the pre-sale, they're offering 2% of their revenue on top of the 3% to the people that do the pre-sale. So basically the opportunity is that 3% is going to go to all holders, Vitus holders. If their revenue starts getting very high with their compliance software that they're creating and trying to bring out to the financial industry, the energy industry, and other industries, no matter what their profit is, they can be doing negative profit. They have to give 5% of their revenue, 3% to everyone who's in the VIP program who's staking their tokens, and 2%, this is where this opportunity gets insane, 2% of the revenue is going to go to only the pre-salers who are staking their tokens, and they have to never have sold below their value. So you can sell whenever you want, but if you do sell below the value of your NFT, like say you put in $500, if you sold to $499, then you would never be able to get into this 2% again. So if they're bringing in a ton of revenue, then 3% is going to be shared between all the holders, and anyone can come in and fight for that 3%. Oh, I'm going to put in a bunch of Vitus so that I can get some of those rewards. Oh, a whale comes in. Those rewards are really good. They can come in and fight for a portion of that by staking their tokens and make the amount that you're getting smaller. But with the VIPP program, the 2% for only the pre-sellers, not only are you going to get the 3%, but you're also going to get a 2% on top of that. So what that means is that this is only a small group of people with the VIPP, the 2%, that can ever share 2% of the revenue. Say it's 100 to 1,000 people that are staking their tokens, they will always share that 2%. And so let's just say that 3 million goes to the 3%. Well, 3 million gets shared between all the Vitus holders that are staking for the 3%, but 2 million would be going to only the pre-salers. So it's this massive opportunity. Another thing to understand is that if somebody sells, they can never get back into it. Nobody can come and get into this after the pre-sale. And if any of the pre-sellers sell, they're gone forever. So it's kind of a last man standing. Hypothetically, if you sold and there was, say, only 10 people left and you were one of them, you guys would be splitting. If 2% was $1 million and it came in, those 10 people would be sharing that 2%, that $1 million. Understanding that is massive. Basically, that 2% is going to make that 3% look like nothing, because no matter what, people will always be able to get back into that 3%, but you'll never be able to get back in on that 2%. They're almost the same rewards, but one is being split to everybody who gets in it, and the other one's being split to only the people that do the pre-sale. If you do the pre-sale and you stake your tokens, you're going to get 5% 5% of all their revenue, you're going to get a share of the 3% and a share of the 2%. I personally think that's a huge opportunity. It's a risk. I can never guarantee anything. I just tell you guys what I think are good risks. I told you guys about Evergrow. I told you guys about bad things that are coming. I generally have a capacity to be realistic about what my expectations are whenever I get excited about something or whenever I'm worried about something. It usually has some weight to it. And finally, I want to tell you guys about another opportunity that you guys have to make money. If you guys want to create a project or you know a project that needs any type of crypto work done, basically you can get 5% of the value of whatever it needs just through referring them to dAppt. So say that they spend $10,000, then you'd get 5% of that. Just for connecting dAppt with that project, you would get 5%. Something to keep in mind, because when the crypto market takes off, a lot of projects need dev work, they need NFT work, website work. That stuff gets expensive and there's a lot of money flowing around. So it's easy opportunities for you to make hundreds of dollars to potentially thousands of dollars. There's also what's called a retainer. So if a project keeps coming back for work, then you would continue to get 5% of that work. We'll keep covering John's arrest and how Safemoon is going to finally be exposed, and I'll keep covering Vitus as they're just starting. And I'll leave 2 links down below, one to the pre-sale you can use and another one to set up a meeting for any project that needs work that you can get 5% of whatever it is that they're spending. I'll see you guys in the next video.